Welcome to the Her Story Circle podcast, the podcast that brings you the extraordinary tales of everyday women who are changing the world. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge traditional custodians of the land on which we meet today. I also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging. Every week, we dive into the lives, challenges, and triumphs of women from all four corners of the globe. We're here to inspire, enlighten, and connect, sharing stories that uplift and empower. So grab a cup of coffee, settle in, and join us as we explore the incredible journeys of women shaping our future. This is Her Story, where every woman's voice matters. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Her Story Circle. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another intriguing woman. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
My name is Jennifer Bryerton. I am in Charlottesville, Virginia, in the United States. And my story is one of changes. I began my career as a teacher, and we relocated, and I needed to find something else that worked with my new role as mom. And I knew I wanted to find something that would enable me to be with my daughter and perhaps subsequent children. And so I cast about for ideas in our new town, looking around what was needed here. And what I missed from where I used to live is a parenting resource. And so this is nearly 30 years ago now. The internet was new and controversial, lots of dot bombs in the news. So it wasn't quite taking off, wasn't a sure thing yet. And so we started with a website. And over the years, we've grown it. Like we would joke, my co-founder and I, Robin, would joke, we started it with grocery money, largely sweat, labor, and tears, growing it from the ground up, piece by piece, as we could. So we started with a website, and then we added a print magazine. We added in-person events. And this year, I've added an app. So almost 30 years in, we've grown from the very beginning as a web directory to a full platform where the brand is throughout our community. And community is an important word for us. One of the exciting things we're doing in 2025 is a mompreneur grant. And this is to help other moms who were like us a long time ago, getting started with grocery money to fulfill their dream and find a way to have a career and a work life and an identity that expanded beyond mom. So that's exciting to have other small businesses that are applying for the grant right now. We're going to announce them in about a week, and readers are going to get to enjoy those stories with us. I think one of the, sorry.
I was going to give you more time, but I can step in if you're done with the story.
Oh, yes, please go ahead.
Okay, so how did you identify the need for a parenting-focused magazine in your area?
We're a university town. The University of Virginia is here in Charlottesville. And so there was a lot of focus on the music scene and the food scene, and all of that's very important and lots of fun. But it was hard to find out what was going on with library story times or the best hikes for little kids, that sort of thing.
Fantastic. So you found a nice little niche that was just ready to be filled. So what have been the biggest lessons in running a local media business?
I think a strength we have is that we haven't come to this from publishing. Many people who get into a niche media have had careers in media. And so I think that's always been our blessing. We didn't know that wasn't how it was done. We just try things. So our parenting title is, yes, all about family and raising kids, but it's also got a lot of content about the home and beauty and mom life, you as a woman, more than your role as a mom. And so that's enabled us to reach into different pockets of area businesses and be appealing to them. And that has been how we've diversified our financial base.
That's beautiful. Now, how have you adapted your business to the digital age?
We started as a web directory a long time ago. And so we've always been online, and we're always looking for ways to grow it online. So I'm constantly studying SEO and the algorithms and all the things that are coming. And we do social media, of course. And this year we created an app.
You've come a long way from the beginning there.
Yes.
And what challenges did you face in growing a magazine during the economic downturns or the digital disruptions?
I think one of the important things that we did is we kept trying to find another way. And so back in 2008, 2009, the recession, for us, the big impact was the real estate market. So all of that industry fell away. All those advertisers pulled back and stopped spending. And so we looked around and we're like, okay, who's growing? Who's succeeding? And we tailored projects for them, right? And so in that instance, it was tourism and travel for our area.
Wow. Constantly evolving. Now, what does community mean to you as a publisher and a mother?
I think it's really important that we're all neighbors. You know, our town keeps growing, as many do, and I think it's really important to be able to go to the grocery store and feel like you have, you know, these relationships and threads of connection weaving all through. And so I like when I'm putting together the magazine, I'm really attentive to kind of the basics. You know, we've got content for parents of babies and parents of school age kids and parents of high schoolers, but also parents who like families who like the outdoors, and families who like the arts, and people who live south of town, and people who live right in the middle of town, and people who live out in the counties, and trying to find a way that everybody has something that speaks to them.
Yeah, it is not easy to please everyone, but you have to try. So how do you balance being a leader in business with the demands of a family life?
Whew, I don't know. That is a hard question. When we began, I had one 6-month-old, and now I have 4 children who are almost grown. So it's been a journey. I think it's been something that our whole family has done together. So at any different time, kids have been involved in helping do deliveries of the magazine or posing in the garden with one of our chickens for a story. Right now, I'm especially excited. I've had the opportunity this year to work with one of my daughters who graduated with a degree in graphic design. And so she's helping do design for the magazine. She did this beautiful cover. This is her work.
Oh, wow. Wow.
But I think, you know, it's prioritizing and being really focused. This is kid time. This is when I am family forward. I'm not checking my email. I'm not doing other things. And then when it's work time, again, I'm trying to really concentrate on work. So having some childcare and also teaching the kids to be pretty independent and being planful about when their best times are to play independently.
I love it. So what makes Charlottesville Family different from national parenting publications, do you think?
We're hyperlocal, you know, so when we do a story, like you're going to get their grandma calling me for extra copies, you know, because we featured the 10-year-old who won the golf contest.
Yes.
You know, Speaking of grandmas, I had one call me this morning, and she lived several towns over. I had no idea what she was calling for, but the kids are coming to visit this summer, and she was wondering, could I mail her a copy? Because she wanted to get planning. So I think that's one of the things that's really special, and our resources are super local. Anyone can write on, this is how to go through the stages of sleep training, those sorts of things. But we like to have a local person or one of our local university researchers weigh in on the topic, make it more personal.
Yeah, that personalization is the key. So what advice would you give to women who are looking to start local media or community initiatives?
I would start by asking around, what are people looking for? What is it they hope to get out of it? Because those are going to be your partners who stay with you for the long term. And that's what you really want. When I'm talking with a new potential partner, I'm kind of sounding them out as much as I'm trying to sell them advertising, right? I want to know, do you prefer digital media? Do you prefer print media? What are you hoping to get out of it?
Yeah.
Are you looking to get feedback from your friends that I saw your picture in the magazine? Like, some people want to have that real consistent feedback, or what products are you selling, the variety of things that might help make sure I can make it a good match. Or if it's not a good match, we can say maybe later.
Okay. I love it. Now, you shared your story. Can you tell us a story about your journey that particularly touched or surprised you along the way?
I think I had a really interesting experience so we went during COVID. We did not have our annual fun fair. And we took a year off after, because it was in the spring and it still wasn't sure, should we do it? So we hadn't had it for 5 years.
Right.
And so we had it this year, and it really was a family reunion. Okay. And it was just lovely, because we had all of our partner vendors who were back, were excited. Readers and parents were excited. But the one that I most love seeing, she's been with us from the beginning, one of our very first partners, and her husband passed away this year. And she did not come as a vendor. She came because she wanted to see me. Okay. And just stop by for 5 minutes and see how it was going, and tell me that she was sorry that she wasn't there, because she was dealing with all of the things she was dealing with in her life. And I was so touched. This is someone I've known for nearly 30 years. And for her to come out of her way in her time of grief to say hi was really special. Really special. Wow. So it's a community, I think we have our audience of readers, but we also have our audience of business partners in the community too. Okay.
So how do you measure success, not just in numbers, but in impact?
I love to hear the stories of people who've gone on our day trips or had a better day because of something they read that we created.
Yeah. That's success for you.
Absolutely. I had someone, another business partner, we had done a story about her company, and it was her and her husband and their children. And she told me many months later, she said, we were having a hard time, and that day interviewing with you reminded me why we're doing all of this for our girls. And it really meant a lot to, that she shared that, and to feel like, wow, what I do matters.
Yeah, that's pretty special. That is just beautiful. Now, one of the things that is really difficult about parenting is that there's a lot of misconceptions. So what are some of the common misconceptions about parenting and entrepreneurship?
Ooh, I think one of the things that has been well, there's been a few things on my mind lately. I've been working closely with someone. She is pregnant and almost due. And so it's been very interesting to go down this road with her, right? I'm like, old hat, I'm not worried about this. You got it. But she's very nervous. And I think it's been really interesting to hear the things she's worried about and, concerns that at this point in time, I'm not worried about at all. Right. I think one of the things that I've noticed about this current crop of parents is because they are so educated and well informed and they have access to so much information and maybe misinformation that they are turning themselves inside out and worrying themselves to death about the right way to do things. And I think, the right way to there are, yes, good and worse ways to do things, but generally loving your kids and doing your best is always going to work.
Yeah, so true. Oh, wow. So what inspires you in your community building work?
I love hearing those stories. I like to know that what we're doing got people out of the house and doing something active, exploring, learning something new, meeting new people, and engaging with the world in a real in-person kind of way.
And what are the biggest lessons that you've learned from running a local media business?
One of my greatest challenges is I am overly optimistic about the hours of my day. And I have more ideas than I could ever really implement as well as I would like. So I think that's my big lesson is slow down and finish that project, make it finish strong before you go running off on your next idea.
I love it. I love it. And talking about the next idea, what is next for Charlottesville and your personal journey?
Right. We have lots of ideas. We're going to be rolling out, we have a mascot, Bumble the Bee. Bumble is going to be creating a birthday club this summer. So that's coming. And we're working on some new content online around pregnancy that I'm excited about. Lots of good stuff about doulas and midwives and all the many, many choices of people who can support parents during that time. So those are coming. And I'm thinking about another in-person event in the fall, but I haven't committed yet.
All right. Now, you mentioned that one of your daughters has got involved with your work.
Mm-hmm.
What inspired her, and have you affected any of your other children to come along on this journey?
Well, I think she did it because she needed the money because she wants to move to Germany. But I think we really enjoyed it. I think it's been a really exciting opportunity for me as a mom to get to work with her as an adult. She has graduated and grown up. So that's been really nice. My oldest is an elementary teacher and she teaches science, and she's in charge of the school pets and gardens, much like we have at home.
Right.
And my boys get roped in a lot to do deliveries at this point. But I think, they both have an aptitude for numbers and analytical thinking and so forth. So we'll see what happens. They could both become interested in business. It's possible.
Yeah, that's interesting that they've all gone in different directions, but you've been a source of strength and inspiration for them by the sound of it.
Absolutely. And I think having grown up in a business that they have a good understanding of marketing and what it takes and an appreciation for what a small business goes through and I think more empathy for people in those roles.
Yeah. So if we were to go back to your childhood and your upbringing, what were the things that you would have wanted to have known or learned that you didn't get out of your parenting experience with your parents?
Ooh, Well, it was a different time for sure.
Mhm.
I think we all parent the way we were parented, and we also do the opposite, right? I'm never going to do that like my mom did.
That's
I
true.
think we all have pieces of that, and so I think for me, there was a big commitment to homework and things like that, and there was also a big commitment to work. We lived on a small farm, and there was legitimately a lot to do. And so I've incorporated some of that into my kids' lives. They all understand what it takes to get things done.
Yes.
Um, but I hope I've also played a lot more board games than my parents ever had time for.
Yeah. So you've really made your parenting experience more hands-on and focused on, spending time with your kids.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Now, what advice would you give, or what message of hope can you give to parents and entrepreneurs that you want them to take out of your story?
Take it slow. I think that is the best advice there is, because you may have the most brilliant idea in the world, but the time with your kids is fleeting.
Yeah, that's so true. And the app that you've developed, tell us a little bit about that and what people can expect from your app.
It's pretty simple. It's a lot of the content that you would find on the website. So what we're seeing people use it for most often is events. So we have a big calendar in there. But there's also other resources like sleep training and recipes and all the things in between. This week we're publishing a few of how to raise chickens stories that come from my garden. So those are fun. So there's lots of resources there, as well as the calendaring and day trips and travel advice if you're coming to Virginia.
All right. So you're really keeping people informed on what's happening in your community.
Mm-hmm.
That is so beautiful. My last two questions are a bit of a thought experiment.
Oh.
In the one, I'm going to teleport you back into the past, and we are going to go and meet the younger you, the young woman who was going into the world of business and entrepreneurship and motherhood. If I could take you back to go and meet this young woman who's going on this new adventure, what would you have wanted someone to have told you? 3 nuggets of wisdom about life. What would you have wanted to be told?
Wow. I probably needed more than 3. I think
That's more than 3 if you have.
I think definitely work will wait. The time with the kids is most important. Learn how to delegate early and often. And hire people better and smarter than you. I think that is wise advice for all people in business.
Very, very true. You do have to work with people who are smarter than you, or at least people who complement your weaknesses.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Absolutely.
Yeah. I've always been of the opinion that you can't do everything.
Right.
Each person has their strengths, and we know our weaknesses. So when you work with those who complement those weaknesses, you can create a very robust business and an inspirational life.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's challenging entrepreneurs often, especially in the beginning. You're bootstrapping it. You're trying to not spend any money. But I think it's well worth hiring people who are specialized and really, really good at what they do to free you up a little bit for the daydreaming of the next ideas or just a little bit of rest.
And then you're not trying to reinvent the wheel.
That's right.
These people know how to do it. They know how to do it in a smart way.
Yes.
Instead of you just fumbling and trying
Absolutely.
to get things done and not really knowing which way you're going.
Absolutely.
Now,
Far more efficient.
my last question for you is futuristic. And I want to teleport you into the future to meet the 90-year-old you. She's sitting in her rocking chair. Maybe she's on a dance floor. With science and technology, you'll probably live to 100. If we could teleport to go and meet this wise woman who has led you up until this point, what will you say to her when you finally meet her? And I'll explain why I love to ask this question, Jennifer. A lot of women don't realize that the wise woman is already in them. That she is that quiet little voice that says, go left, go right, say yes, say no, advocate, create a community. We all have this little wise woman who is guiding us. So what will you say to your wise woman when you finally meet her?
I think I'll tell her good job. And you were right. I shouldn't have worked as much as I did. I think that is something I'm realizing now more than I did when I was younger. The time with the kids and then family and with friends and in the garden, traveling, those things matter a lot.
Yeah, you have to remember to play too.
Yes.
While you are trying to build your business and your empire. And the kids grow so fast. I kind of feel like I blinked and somebody swallowed my babies.
Yes.
I look at my children now and it's like, who are you people? Where do my kids go? And I feel guilty sometimes for, like you're saying, not having spent more time or slowed down a little bit more when I had to, and just been in the process of doing all the time.
Right. But at the same time, I'm sure your kids appreciate the fine example you've set of being strong and independent too.
Yeah, that's true. But what I'm doing now with my little grandson, who is just such a blessing, I get to do it again, a little bit smarter this time, with purpose and really knowing that time goes so fast and before you know it, it's over. Mm-hmm. So my little grandson is turning 4 and he has just been the absolute love of my life. But he's been the one that's really shown me why I need to slow down and why it's so important to take time with your kids.
Yeah, absolutely. We just did a parenting panel. We had a few experts from the community and the university, and it was parenting in the digital age, right? Because screen time, it's scary, the research, what's happening out there when kids are plugged in too much to a screen. Yeah. And, and when we were working on the title for the program, we decided raising happy, connected kids in the digital age was what we wanted to go for. Because I think that's the goal. Kids, when they have a relationship with grandma, with parents, with, other people in their life, they do better. And that's how they learn how to balance screen time and outdoor time and all the activities.
Yeah, that is so important. Just reminding kids to go outside and climb a tree and run and be on the grass. Yeah, most children are not getting that anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, Jennifer, thank you so much for coming online and sharing your story with us. It's been an absolute pleasure sharing with our community.
Well, thank you very much. I love doing this.
And thank you to everybody who tuned in. The Her Story Circle is not just a podcast. We are a social impact movement that brings you the stories and voices of women from all over the world. We share our stories to uplift you, inspire you, energize you, but most importantly, empower you with knowledge and tools to take you from where you are now to where you're trying to go. So tune in again tomorrow when I interview yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world. And Jennifer, thanks again for the interview.
Thank you.
Bye for now, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Her Story Circle podcast. I hope today's story has inspired you to believe in the power of our stories and the difference you can make in the world when you use your voice. I'm Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a rich tapestry of diverse perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these stories with more listeners. Follow us on social media by looking for the Her Story Circle podcast for more updates. And join us tomorrow for another episode filled with courage, resilience, and empowerment. Remember, your story matters, and together we're building a stronger, more inclusive world. Until next time, keep making her story.